Guys, welcome back to Predatory Fins. Today, we're gonna go straight to the topic. We're gonna talk about how to save your fish, how you can stop killing your fish. Because we do have a lot of people that order fish and don't have the proper setup, or the tank is not cycled properly. So we're gonna go jump right into it. At the same time, I'm showing you these guys right here because they look amazing, but the video is about how to save your fish. We're gonna take advantage of Fejai just put this whole tank together. Fejai, where are you?
I'm over here. What's up, guys?
But this is looking good, bro.
I wanted to make a video, not about unboxing, not about a stock video, but how many times we get phone calls and the fish arrives in perfect condition and they die a week later or a few days later.
When a situation like that happens, a lot of things can go wrong, or we have to really understand the situation. But the number one thing that we find people have problems with is the fact that they think their tank is cycled, when in actuality, it's not.
Let's talk about how to cycle a tank. This is a brand new tank you just set up. There's no fish in it.
Let's just talk about the misconceptions first and then just knock them down one by one. The number one thing that we hear from people is, I set up my tank, it's been running for a few weeks, so it's cycled and it's ready for fish. What do you guys think? Is that correct or incorrect? And according to science, that's incorrect. Just because the tank has been running, you're running it with no fish. So if there's no active biolife in there, your tank is actually not being cycled. What people think is just because their tank has been filled and running that it's cycled. But it's a very big misconception because there's no active biolife going on in your aquarium. It's just no different than a bucket of water sitting on the floor. You actually have to have fish or some type of ammonia source to feed the bacteria and to start the cycle off. And typically, a cycle takes anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks to establish. We have this tank right here, which has been fully established. It's been running for God knows how long, since the shop has been open. As you can see, it's very heavily stocked. And why can't it handle this kind of bioload? It's because the media cultivates the bacteria, and the bacteria grows according to the bioload of your tank. So as you have more fish, the bioactivity will multiply and you'll get more. But as you have less fish, then the bioload drops down. So for example, this week, we have a big sale, everything sells out, now I only have 10 fish left in here. Well, over the course of the next few days, all that bioload is gonna start dropping or disappearing or dying off because they don't have a food source anymore. So the one thing that's very important for you guys to remember at home is that your bio level is always changing based on how much fish you have or how much you're feeding your tank. Does that make sense to you guys?
For example, we sold everything, we only have 2 fish.
Yes.
The bio for this tank is only gonna be enough for 2 fish. So if in the next round, we go ahead and put the same amount of fish in here, the ammonia is gonna spike up.
Yes, so when that happens, it's the tank is gonna go through what we call a mini cycle. The bacteria is established in the tank, but the bacteria count is low. So you're gonna have to watch out, and when you throw in more fish and start feeding heavily the bio, and the ammonia is gonna spike, but over the next week or so, it will start to multiply and grow and it will catch up. So during that time, you just have to not feed so much, okay? And keep an eye on your water quality. Another time that a mini cycle happens as well is when you clean your filter. A lot of people think, oh my God, I have to clean it with tank water. I shouldn't clean it with tap water. It's not true. It helps that you clean with aquarium water because there's chlorine in your tap water. But no matter what, once you start squeezing out the sponge, you're also squeezing out a lot of that biofilm that's stuck on your media. And it will still also go through another mini cycle as well. So that's another thing that you guys should keep in mind. Now, one thing I wanted to point out to you guys is it doesn't matter whether you have saltwater, freshwater pond, aquarium, whatever it is, the principle is always still the same. You see, we have this filter right here, same movable media, and we have a bunch of live rocks over here, and it cultivates all the bacteria that you need. No matter what kind of environment you're trying to set up, the principle is still the same. And as long as you remember that principle, you can never go wrong. But one other point that I like to mention is water volume also comes into play. When you have a larger water volume, then there's more room for mistakes. So as you can see here, people would say, we're crazy for keeping sharks in such a small volume of water and with so little bioload. But we are very aware of the situation, how much we're feeding, when to do our water changes. So we're on top of that balance. In a situation when your water volume is small, you just have to be more careful about what you're doing in your tank because the ratios are much smaller, so things can go out of whack really easily. Come on, I'm gonna show you the different ways to cycle a tank, and this is very important. Number one, the quickest way is if you have established tanks at home, then you can always grab some type of media from that tank and bring it over into your new tank. What?
Some people think just putting the water from that tank into the new tank works. So can you explain that?
The bacteria that you're culturing in your tank, it grows on the surface area. So when, like Rod said, some people think if I take water from an established tank, it brings bacteria over. Not necessarily, because the biofilm is growing on attached media like what we have here. So now a second ago, you saw that we had no media in here, but now I just dumped in more media just a few minutes ago because I need to establish more bio in this tank.
Now, how can you establish bio because there's no fish here?
Okay, right here. This jar right here. So since this is a big tank and it's a new tank, I don't have enough media that I can spare from my other systems. So I'm gonna cycle this from scratch for now, and you have to introduce a source of ammonia. Whether I wanna bring in new fish and throw it in here and just feed them very lightly so that the fish is producing ammonia, that will help. But if I want to keep my system like really clean and free of disease potentially from other systems, I have here ammonium chloride. So this is ammonia that we can add into the tank, and I'll just arbitrarily add a little, right? And that's enough. And we're gonna wait. What you do is bacteria will take about 2 weeks to start to cultivate, right? And we're gonna just continually monitor the water quality, testing for ammonia. And when I see the ammonia levels start to drop, that means the bacteria is starting to establish, and I will start adding more ammonia, okay? And the more ammonia I slowly add over time and the bacteria is consuming it, my bio bed is getting stronger and stronger to the point where I'm ready to add fish. But the key is once bacteria starts to grow, that means your tank is starting to cycle. What I'm gonna do here is what I call my hybrid system. I'm starting it off with the chemical ammonium chloride. I'm gonna let that run for a little bit, maybe like a week or two. Once I see a tiny trace of bacteria developing through testing ammonia in my water, I will bring some media over from my system, okay? As I said, I don't have enough bio or have enough media to cycle this whole system, but I'm gonna bring more media over, and at that point, once I bring that media over, that's when I'm ready to introduce fish, because I have to keep feeding the bacteria. So there's no point to start all this and don't put fish, because without the fish, you won't have a continuous ammonia source to keep your bio alive.
So this tank right here is about what, 1,600 gallons?
Yes, correct.
And how much ammonia do you use in this tank to get this up and going?
Okay, so I can give you the technical way or I can give you the Fage way, okay? The technical way, you can just look at the bottle, it'll tell you how much to put per gallon or whatnot. I like to dose it a little bit on the lower side. I'll just arbitrarily put a little bit, because when you set your ammonia level too high, the bacteria cannot grow, because if the water becomes, yes, it becomes so toxic that it can't. So ideally the target ammonia level is about 2 parts per million, but I don't want to push it that high. So as long as I have at least like somewhere around 1 point something, that's good enough for me, and let the bacteria grow in a non-stressful environment where they can really blossom. So this tank right here is going to be one of the next tanks we'll be setting up here at the shop. And it's such a big volume of water that when it comes to cycling this tank, I'm actually not worried. I'm not gonna do anything like what I told you before in that other system. I can actually just straight away dump fish in there. I just won't overstock the tank. Maybe I'll put like 2 or 3 fish and let that fish produce the ammonia. And because I won't be worried that the ammonia level will go beyond 2 parts per million, because it's very few fish in such a large volume of water, I will let it naturally cycle on its own. I'm not in a rush. I'll let it happen on its own, and then we'll slowly add fish as time goes on. Maybe like every 3-4 weeks, add another fish. 3-4 weeks later, add another fish. Slowly increase feeding. And once I see the ammonia start to show up, and the ammonia starts converting into nitrate, this is very important now. So there are steps in the cycle. The first byproduct you get is ammonia, right? And now, when the first set of bacteria develops, it will break down ammonia into nitrite, okay? Now, after that, there's a second part to the cycle, which means you have to cycle bacteria that can process nitrite. And a lot of people don't know this, all right? From there, after nitrite gets processed, it becomes nitrate. And at that point, nitrate is non-toxic to your fish. And we do regular water changes to just keep your nitrate levels down. In retrospect, this is why the cycle takes 4 to 8 weeks. It takes between 2 to 4 weeks to establish the first set of bacteria. And now, once you got ammonia feeding the nitrites, feeding the next set of bacteria to cultivate, that takes another 2 to 4 weeks. So the cycle period really is anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks to truly cycle your entire aquarium. Everyone wants to cycle their tank, and everyone wants to cycle it as quickly as possible. No one wants to wait 6 to 8 weeks, right? So what we do is you have to seed your tank. So the point is you have to get the bacteria from somewhere. You can get it from an established tank that you may have at home. And for those of you who are just starting out and don't have any tanks, you can always get it from your local pet store, right? When you're buying a fish or something, to say, hey, can I get a rock out of your tank, or a piece of wood, or just a little bit of gravel? And those decorations or whatever will have bacteria growing on the surface area of that. So just by introducing it into your tank, it seeds it and it will kickstart it so that the bacteria can just start to multiply right away. I want to show you guys, bacteria can grow on anything that has a surface area. So there's multiple types of media. I personally like to use a moving bed media, but there's also ceramic beads. You see I have a little bag of ceramic beads. Some people want to use pot scrubbers. You can use lava rock, gravel, anything that has a surface area. The goal is to find something that has a high surface area so that more bacteria can grow in a smaller amount of space. So honestly, you can use any media you want. They all work. There is no one media better than the other. It's just personal preference at that point. Now, I'll explain to you why I prefer to use the movable bed. Because since it's always tumbling and moving, you don't get waste trapped in the media. I've done it all. I've used hang on the back filters, sponge filters, under gravel filters, any canister filters, any of it, you name it, I've done it, right? This is the simplest way. It keeps everything clean. Nothing gets lodged in. I'm sure for those of you who have canister filters at home, it's a nightmare. No one wants to do it. Once you open it up, it's all that sludge and grime. It's nasty, right? When you do it this way, it stays cleaner and it's simpler to maintain your tanks.
You're just brand new to the hobby and you're setting up a tank. How would you recommend them to do it?
All right, well, obviously you put your tank in place, fill it up with the water, connect all your filtration.
But also depends on where you are. Your water might have higher levels of chloramine.
Yeah, okay, so, all right, you want to go that deep. Okay,
yeah.
We'll go that deep. Without dechlorinating your water, the bacteria won't be able to grow because the chlorine will always be present to kill off the bacteria. That's the whole point of chlorine in your water, to sanitize it. But in an aquatic situation, you don't want that. So you always have to dechlorinate your water. Once you have that water dechlorinated, now you fill up your tank and you're just gonna have to let it run. The key is to remember you have to introduce ammonia source. All right, I know I'm repeating myself, but without an ammonia source, your tank will not cycle. So some people use the chemicals like what I do. You can drop some food in there that let it slowly rot and generate ammonia, or you can just start off with fish, but just start off with like 1 or 2 fish, just to help the tank get started. Once the tank is established, then you're good. So just remember, it's very important. You only add 1 or 2 fish because you have no bio in your tank. The fish is there to help release ammonia at a slow pace. So it's very important. Don't put too much fish, and also don't overfeed your fish, especially in the beginning. You can feed it just a little bit once every 2 days for maybe like the first week, week and a half, and then test your water, see where your ammonia level's at. If your ammonia level is acceptable, then either you can add another fish or you can start feeding more. If you find that your ammonia level is creeping up and you're worried about the fish getting stressed from the ammonia, you can do a water change, right? You don't want to let your ammonia get beyond 1.5 parts per million. Once you see at that level, do a 50% water change, bring the ammonia levels down to like a 0.5. The fish will be able to tolerate it, right? And you'll slowly watch the ammonia level rise again, but it's a seesaw balance. You want to keep ammonia, not get the fish sick, but at the same time, give a chance for the media to grow, the bio. Once that happens, then the scale's going to go this way, and you'll see your ammonia is going to start to decrease, and at that point, that's an indicator you can start adding more fish. I hope this video has been useful to everyone at home, especially to the beginner, and even to the non-beginners. I think this is always a good set of information that can help you throughout your hobby. The goal here is for everyone to be successful. if you guys like these types of videos, teaching videos, anything about the hobby, anything about fish, let us know in the comments below. We'll do our best to accommodate you guys. But for now, I'm getting back to my amazing male god stingrays. Hopefully I can find a female god as well.